Coming to you from the heart of Kansas City, it's Buck and Bob Take on Chiefs Kingdom, a podcast for fans by fans. Podcast where we're not experts, but we love the game, we love the Chiefs, and we love to talk about the game.
I'm Buck. I'm your resident Detroit Lions hater and co-host. I like to make bold, uninformed predictions, but I love watching this dynasty dominate today's NFL, just like we saw tonight.
And I'm Bob. Most of the time, the guy with the unpopular opinions, but I'm sorry, they're just right.
So how about those Chiefs tonight, man?
Dude, how about the Chiefs?
Like, it started off, honestly, I mean, if you watch back our previous podcasts, I did kind of say that I thought the Chiefs were going to sputter a little bit on offense, and I think they did. But with the talent that they put on the field, it was just enough to overcome the Ravens tonight, just by a toenail.
Well, and you were right about Mahomes not airing it out. I thought they were going to air it out a bunch this first night, but did a lot of running on the back of Pacheco, which I'll talk about later, but I wasn't a super fan of.
Yeah, it wasn't as effective, I think, as they wanted it to be, but it was enough to keep the defense honest. Like you said, they didn't really air it out a whole lot, with the exception of the one scramble play to Kelsey, right? And then there was the that long pass to Worthy downfield, but I think that was just a blown coverage thing that Mahomes noticed. So, but it was a perfect throw. So I love to see that. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it was a solid offensive game plan, I think. But I think it'll be a couple of weeks before we really start to see this offense click. But if tonight was them not quite clicking, I'm happy. To me, this was the big game on our schedule. Honestly, Lamar Jackson scares me the most because he's just another running back on the field who can throw.
Yep. And okay, we should probably just kind of talk about the show and what we're going to be doing for this show. We're still trying to work out what our format's going to be. And right now, this moment, we just got done watching the Chiefs play. I'm not sure this is the best format for us. It's our takes right after the game. I almost feel like we need like 2 episodes a week during this season. And that might be something we talk about and do. But I kind of like for this to be, normally, and I don't know, you guys tell us what you think, but I'd like to maybe for the games, we have a little short talk about the game and what we think is going to happen with that specific game. And then we pause it, we watch the game, and then we give our thoughts afterwards and have that be kind of a short episode. But then have an episode in the middle of the week leading up to the next game where we really dive into the upcoming game, yada, yada, and we dive into like what happened in the game prior. I think that would be a lot more fun to be able to like look into some stats and research things. But I do like this. I mean, I want to talk about a bunch of the different things that happened during the game. And so I do like this, but I just almost feel like we need more during the season. But I don't know what you think.
Honestly, that I was thinking the same thing during the game, but I know you're real busy with your other podcasts that you're doing right now, so I didn't want to necessarily bring it up. But a second recording during the week would really help things out with trying to separate what we're trying to cover all just after the game. So yeah, I love that idea. Yeah, you guys tell us what you think. Do you want more? I want to do more, honestly, because I'm having a blast. This is really fun.
Same. So, all right. So, what were you kind of worried about going into the game? And then I'll go after you.
Well, I mean, I was worried about the offense just not clicking, not being 100% in sync, and I think we kind of saw that tonight. Rice and Mahomes were. I think they surprised me a little bit because they seemed to be very in sync from the very beginning. I didn't expect the defense to come out and be great, but I expected them to be good. Spags is famous for starting the season. Everybody's just behind because his scheme is so difficult and intricate. And so it takes a while to get in sync. Sometimes it takes till the end of the season. You remember that first Super Bowl run, it was literally like the game 15-16 when it really started to come together. So I was really, really happy with our defensive performance tonight, especially knowing that it's just going to get better.
Well, hold on. I didn't ask you what you were happy with.
Sorry.
I was asking you what I expected, were worried about.
What I was worried about
going into the season.
Worried about going into the season or worried about going into the game?
Going into this game specifically, what
Lamar
were you worried
Jackson.
about?
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay. I was talking specifically on our team, but yeah, I was worried about Lamar
that's honestly, with the whole offense being not in sync and all that, I still think that we're top 5 in the NFL. And once we get in sync, so what is I worried about for the season? I'm really not worried about much
for this game.
But for this game, I was worried about Lamar Jackson, running all over us. But I really wasn't. He did, but they still lost. Yeah. So, what is that? I mean, he got 120 yards. He actually had 170. There was that 150-yarder that got called back. Thank God. And that may have changed the outcome of the game. But I'm still not worried about this team going forward, as long as injuries don't creep in. So yeah, my one big worry was Lamar Jackson for this game.
So for me, Lamar Jackson was just of course I was going to worry about him. I wasn't as worried about Derrick Henry, but more what I was talking about was I was worried about the defensive line play. And I think I was right to be worried about it after watching tonight's game, because the defensive line really didn't perform the way I wanted it to. Now, it could be, that's why I like, to look at stats and stuff, because maybe the Baltimore Ravens line is awesome, right? But I was not happy with the amount of pressure we did.
Really?
Yeah, I was not happy with it at all. I was happy with the amount of pressure that Jones did, but I was talking about it last episode, hoping that Jones would open up the tackles, and Karlaftis, he
got pushed around tonight.
Really never saw him anywhere. I never saw anybody except for Jones causing havoc, and that I feel like I was very right to be worried about the defensive line, and number 90 can't get back soon enough, man.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I just think that if it was any other quarterback, this would have been a much different game, because I think that's a very good point. We got the pressure. It was just Lamar and his slipperiness. It was getting away. So yeah, they didn't get the pressure I'd really like to see. And you're right. When we have this team back to 100%, they're definitely going to be a lot scarier. But I still think the defense really played above what I was expecting, honestly, for game 1, especially against this Ravens offense. Zay Flowers, I mean, he had some pretty good catches, right? I mean, he had some yards, but he didn't tear us up. Likely got a bunch of catches on that last drive, especially running out of bounds, trying to save the clock. So he piled up some yards too. But I mean, I think we really kind of stifled the passing game. And
I don't think that's my whole point. I don't think that was the defensive line. I think that was Chris Jones and the defensive backs. The defensive backs, I think, really played well today. Linebackers did good in pass coverage. I mean, we would have had a TD had Tranquil not knocked down that one pass. Mm-hmm. I mean, but the defensive line, I think, really failed in the defensive line as a whole. Chris Jones looked great, but I really want to see more from the defensive line. I think when number 90 comes back, we really improve. But this, at the same time, like I said, tell me, I mean, I don't know a ton about all the other teams, and I don't know if if Jackson's line, the Ravens line, their offensive line is amazing. I feel that we did a great job tonight. If they're a middle of the pack offensive line, we were found.
I really think that was like a lot of a patchwork offensive line. I think they were kind of talking about that during the broadcast, that they're kind of slim pickings right now. I don't know if it's injuries or just bad contracts or whatever it might be, but yeah, I definitely don't think we were getting top of the NFL.
If that's the case, we are in trouble, because Chris Jones was eating lunch, but everybody else was looking like a.
I think you brought this up. I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was just you and I talking while we were golfing last week. But you had mentioned that Karlaftis, when he doesn't have somebody on the other side, he does look kind of
mediocre.
Okay. Yeah. And
he never quits, which I love.
Right. Yeah. But he did get pushed around. There was that one play he got blocked. I believe it was a run by Jackson, and he got blocked by a wide receiver and pushed on his ass. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, he had to outweigh the guy by, 20, 30 pounds at least, and he just got mowed over.
Yeah, that's just a bad use of balance, and that's
which he isn't really known for. So hopefully it was just a bad game.
Yeah. What else did you see that you liked or disliked throughout the game?
I mean, Worthy, that run for a touchdown, he was so fast. I mean, the defenders were going to tackle him, and by the time their body got to where the tackling position, he was already past him. He was so elusive and so fast. He seemed to know exactly where to go. He looked a lot like a veteran on that play. Then there was the bad, well, not necessarily a bad pass, but there was the pass that he didn't jump for, and the defender
in the end zone,
in the end zone, jumped over him and almost had the interception.
He switched to a defensive back and knocked it down,
exactly like you would see a third to fifth year wide receiver do.
Yeah, that's a heads up vet play.
And then that catch, he didn't get like all excited. He was wide open. You know that a first year wide receiver, when they see something like that, their heart gets all racy and they're like, oh, and they freak out. They might make the catch, they might not, and they'll fall down, whatever. He just turned around and scored a touchdown like he's done it 100 times.
He got his second TD of the game, a receiving TD. And you know what he didn't do? He didn't do what Sky Moore did when he got a non-first down 3-yard catch. He didn't celebrate like an idiot.
Won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what Sky Moore does that just pisses me off. I'm just, dude, stop. Like, maybe it's because I'm from the Midwest, but I love humility, and I love people not boasting about themselves and letting other people boast for them. I think that's a show of character. It's a show of dignity. It's why Xavier Worthy I feel so good about, and why Sky Moore I was like, and I mean, when I'm talking about his little celebration thing, the first time I saw it, he had already muffed 2 punts.
Yeah.
And lost them for the team. Like, that asshole should have scored at least 5 TDs before he celebrated one time. So I was pretty excited about
that was
Worthy.
Not his thing. He was thrust into that position. It wasn't really his fault. He should not have been in a position to be receiving punts at that point in his career, and that's why he's not.
He did it in college.
I don't think he did.
Oh well, either way, like
that's why it was a controversial call at the time. But he's still on this team.
Tell us if Buck's wrong here, because I feel like Buck's wrong. Yeah, I feel like the whole reason we drafted him, and we were talking about him like throughout the preseason, he could return kicks. So I don't know.
I don't think so, man.
I think you're wrong. But we'd love proof.
We'll see.
But yeah, like Worthy showed me that he is a freaking cool dude, and I respect that. I don't know, man.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. Anything that you were less than impressed with tonight?
Oh yeah, I mean there was quite a bit. I mean, besides the defensive line kind of looking bad, like our new punter who has a boot, who we've heard all this stuff about how he's great. Boy, he can't punt it in the right spot, can he? I mean, everything he punted was a touchback.
That one was close.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's close.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Close doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we let go of an amazing punter who would put it,
an okay
right in
holder.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but he became a good holder. Just for it took a long time. Yeah, our new punter's a good holder, but I mean, like our punts, I mean, they were just coming to the 20 every time. And
well, he'll be out there on the practice field every minute of every practice.
I mean, let's hope. So, but
yeah,
I was pretty less than impressed with that.
At least he didn't muff any.
I mean, it should just be a never thing,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, we're in the National Football League and you're a punter.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you got to do your job. But so I wasn't really happy with that. I wasn't happy with. I felt we overused Pacheco really bad. I think we got P. Ryan in. For those of you that don't know from the last episode, if you probably don't just watch this podcast for the news, but P. Ryan was a late addition. I like to call him Broncos running back until he learned, until he earns the Chiefs seal. But we had him. He did look good the times that he was in, except for the one pass that he dropped. But the pass that he dropped was thrown a little bit too far to the right. But it wasn't Mahomes' fault. If you watch the play,
it's a catchable ball.
Well, but Mahomes had to throw it to the right because there was a defender right in the path that he needed to throw it to. So it was just like, if P. Ryan was amazing, he would have caught it. He would have reached out. He would have, taken a dive for the hit, but it looked like he wanted to catch it and keep running, which I get. But, those split-second decisions are what make the greats the greatest. So I only saw 2 carries from Steele, one for 5 yards and then one for a loss of 2 yards.
Yeah, he was kind of one of my disappointments tonight.
Well, he wasn't a disappointment to me. I
just didn't get a
disappointed
big
that we overused Pacheco and underused our other running backs. I mean, if Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire and Prince were our running backs, I would have been like, oh yeah, man, definitely. The way they used Pacheco tonight, I would have agreed with. The way they used Pacheco tonight with those 2 other weapons, I feel was overuse, and Pacheco's great. I've said it many times. He runs hard. He's a strong player, but he is not a premier every down running back. I'm sorry if you think he is. I'm sorry. He's a great guy, but he's not that. He's not a Marshall Faulk. And he's not a Terrell Davis. He's not a
Derrick Henry.
I mean, Derrick Henry, not the last 2 years,
right?
But Derrick Henry prior, he's not that guy,
and that's becoming a much more rare thing in today's NFL. We're in just a different era now. The one running back team just is. There's only 1 or 2 of them left in the NFL right now. It's just it's always a committee thing.
There's probably a few, but that's what surprised me so much is because Andy Reid is one of the guys that pioneered committee. He's one of the guys that pioneered it in the NFL, and I did not understand the leaning on Pacheco so hard. I just wonder if it's because P. Ryan it's his first. He only joined the team a week ago, and then he's in a couple plays the first game, so I could get that. Steele, I feel like Steele should have been involved more, and I don't know why he wasn't, but it's just weird for me to see, you know, like the guy that pioneered running back by committee. Well, one of them, but one of the big ones. I mean, I just didn't get why Pacheco got so much playing time.
My only thought on that is that, P. Ryan has been with the team less than a week, I believe, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I just said.
So he's definitely hasn't had the time. But with Steele, I'm thinking that Andy Reid might just think he's not ready yet. They do have kind of an elaborate playbook. It's not a simple playbook to learn. So I'm thinking he's probably just not quite ready for all the intricacies that are required, to be a full-time player on this offense. So I think Pacheco, we'll probably see a lot of him the first few weeks, and hopefully we'll get Steele in there a little bit more each week. But I agree. I mean, Pacheco's not an every down back. He would love to be, but I think every running back in the NFL would love to be that guy, right? It's just a different game. Like, we've blown that horn a 1,000 times already, but it's just a different game. And backs just aren't built like that anymore. And he's definitely not.
Well, I'm looking at my notes here, and I have B needs to learn the playbook. I don't know what B is.
B?
Yeah, what is B? B needs to learn the playbook. B.
Yeah, I don't know. You got me there.
I wrote it down towards the end of the game.
All I can think of is Bob and Buck.
What was going on towards the end of the game? It was when you asked, "What am I scribbling down there?"
Oh, and you wouldn't answer me. Your answer was, "You'll hear on the podcast."
I know, but what was going on during that?
I don't know, because I wasn't noticing anything.
Brandon?
That's why I was asking.
Who starts with a B?
I think it was on that last drive, though, and our defense looked really, really, really tired, and they were. I mean, it was no huddle offense. The Ravens are trying to score. I think our defense looked really, really tired on that drive, and that's kind of what you can expect at the very end of the first game of the season. So that was what my thought was when you're writing stuff down. I'm like, what are you writing down? I mean, they're all tired.
I just don't know what I was meaning for B.
Yeah, look on the depth chart, maybe.
I just don't understand.
Brian Cook, maybe?
No. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because I know I wanted to talk about it.
There's no other player on the defense whose first or last name starts with a B.
I know. It's so horrible.
And Brian, hey, since we mentioned Brian Cook, that was a hell of a play to defend that pass in the end zone. I know he threw likely down, but he was really just throwing him out of bounds, right? It wasn't a dirty play or anything like that, but that was a really good play. And his name wasn't brought up a lot tonight, which when you're on defense, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when it came down to it, it was a good play.
Yep. Yeah, the DBs, like the defensive backs, which I'm pretty sure I'm right on that one. Defensive backs are quarterbacks and safeties.
Right. But they have cornerbacks listed and they have safeties listed, and then they have defensive backs also. That's what I think is weird.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but I'm almost positive now that I'm right on that, though. It's like defensive backs are safeties and corners. Offensive linemen are right guards, left guards, centers, right tackles, left tackles. Like it's just a grouping. But they could be like, if you're just listed as a defensive back, then it's probably somebody that they're able to use as a safety and as quarterback.
That's what I asked.
But if you say defensive back, it means a corner or a safety.
Yeah, I knew that. I just didn't know if that meant that they were more versatile. That's probably what it is.
That could be for their like just them putting it on a piece of paper. But
so speaking of defensive backs, especially one who shined in the preseason.
Hicks.
I didn't see Hicks at all tonight.
I didn't see Hicks at all either.
And I was looking. I don't think so. I mean, he wasn't listed on the injury report. Speaking of injury report, there was one injury, and that's Hollywood Brown. He was listed as out. All the other hamstring, shoulders, elbows, knees, that kind of stuff, they were all full practice on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we knew they were all going to play. Chris Jones, Joshua Williams, Nick Bolton. So like we did see all those guys out on the field. It was just a kind of a surprise to not see Jaden Hicks out there. I thought he played his ass off during the preseason and definitely deserved a chance to be on the field. But maybe that's another, with my theory with Steele is that he just isn't deep enough into the playbook yet. He's just not quite ready.
And he might have played. The ball just might not have come to him.
Right. I was looking for him. I didn't see him, but that definitely doesn't mean I saw everything. I mean, I saw most things, but
yeah, I think let's talk about the catches. So the one person we didn't see was Sky Moore.
Yeah, we didn't see it all. Yeah.
I wonder if he even suited up.
I don't know.
I didn't see him on the field or the sideline either.
I wasn't really looking. I wasn't paying attention to Sky Moore. He's not somebody. I mean, he's only going to see the field in case of injuries, right? He's listed on the depth chart as third. And then Mecole Hardman is behind him, but I can't imagine that they would ever put him on the field over Mecole Hardman first. So I think that was just a hurry up, let's get these guys down on the list so there's a spot. But
I think it's a, hey, why don't you trade us for Sky Moore?
He's not even last on our depth chart.
Yeah. But we saw Justin Watson catch. We saw Rashee Rice looking amazing.
Him and Patrick Mahomes look like they've been playing together for 3 or 4 seasons now. I mean, they really there was a commentator on one of the local radio stations this week that was talking about Rashee Rice. And he said, this is going to be the year and this is going to be the game. We're going to see a transition of this offense running through Mahomes and Kelsey to offense running through Mahomes and Rice. And it's not something I want to hear, but I think we definitely saw evidence of that tonight.
We definitely saw it in the fact that
he didn't even try to target Kelsey a lot.
I don't have the stats here, but pretty sure that Noah Gray had a better game than Keita.
I don't know about better. He did have that one scramble. It doesn't bother me. Okay, just so you know, just for the record, there's a history behind this whole short names things, and he thinks he's getting in my head, and it's not happening.
Keita.
You can call him whatever you want. You know what? I've got a 4-year-old daughter who loves Taylor Swift, so I'm a Swiftie. So you can call him Keita if you want. But he had that scramble, and I don't remember exactly how many yards that was, but that was a big chunk of yards. So Noah Gray, I mean, he caught what he was supposed to catch, and I think that one wasn't even an easy catch. He had to reach out for it. So he looked solid.
He looked really good, which I actually wasn't expecting. They've talked up Noah Gray multiple times, and I've never felt like I believed it until tonight. He definitely looked like, he's not as big as Kelsey, but man, he definitely looked good tonight. And I've never bought into the Noah Gray talk until tonight. And Kelsey was, I don't know, man.
I think their plan on defense was to take away Kelsey and then let Mahomes beat them someplace else. And
that's probably right.
And Rice absolutely rose to the occasion. And Worthy. I mean, Worthy did. Worthy was kind of your big chunk guy, and then Rice was your he was the Wes Welker. He just was there for all the stuff in the middle. And then he had some yards after catch too. I mean, Rice looked really, really, really solid as a number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Hardman didn't get a real work, but he caught some stuff on returns. But speaking of returns, we're going to talk about this in just a second, but I'm calling a timeout. All right, back from timeout. So we were talking about kickoffs with Hardman. And we called it. Everybody on ESPN, NFL Network, pretty much everybody and their mother called it.
Mm-hmm.
Need to change the touchback rule to the 40-yard line, or else everybody's going to just kick it out of the back. What did the Chiefs do as soon as the game started? Kicked it out the back of the end zone.
And the Ravens played the first half, playing the silly game, and it bit them twice. But then, they did get one penalty for a callback. And I think if you averaged out our returns with the one loss, that probably goes right at the 30. So, I think it does show that we should just kick it out of and then the Ravens did that. They just started kicking it out of the end zone in the second half.
Every team's going to do it. The owners need to learn the game of football and understand it. Like,
I don't care if they change. I do care if they change the rule. I want the rule to be, and we talked about this in the last episode, I want the rule to be the same for the entire season. They tried to change the rule to promote returns. It was a good effort. It definitely needs some tweaking next season. So give it a good rundown and think about all the different aspects. I mean, they figured it out. They figured out what the best play was. And I think it's a simple fix. Right? Instead of going to the 30, make it the 35, right? Or even 40.
40.
Cool. So do that.
Make it so that they have to kick
return
it in.
But don't change it now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't want them to change it now either, but I'm just upset that they're actually that dumb. They had a chance to change it.
Yeah.
The thing that pisses me off is, how loud that is on your mic.
Was it?
I mean, it's going to be.
Okay.
Really loud. Sorry. New podcaster. I'm trying to help him. They should have known. It's absurd that they didn't know. I don't know if the owners don't watch ESPN, don't watch NFL Network, don't watch the games. But it seems like they obviously don't, because they needed to change this. Now it's just annoying me, because this is the whole reason probably Reese Zammit didn't make the team. You don't need him. You just need a kicker that can kick it out the back, and then the kicker doesn't have to stop kickoffs.
I don't think he was going to make the team anyway, honestly.
But
I see what you're saying.
I'm saying
teams were making their teams based on the rules, right?
This was an opportunity to have different skill players on your team to really,
make things interesting,
change up things. But I just feel like we could have seen more skill players that were necessary for kickoffs, because you're super penalized by not having one. And I think it would have opened up a lot of different opportunities for people, and it would have just been more exciting. The kickoffs are not exciting once again, and that sucks.
It does suck. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're going to change the rule after
do you really think so?
I do. I think they're going to change it after the first or second week, because that was the whole point, was to make it more exciting, right? And they obviously missed, but they were close. I mean, you got to admit, I think the new rule changes. I think they were close. It's just one little detail, what yard line it's on, I think would change the whole thing. And I think most people think that would change the whole thing. And so I think they will. I guess I won't be mad, but I will. Yeah, I just don't like to see rule changes in the middle of the season. I just don't think it's fair for anybody. That changes your team dynamic.
I just don't think they can change the rule now. And I think if they do, it really sours everything. And I'm upset, because these guys make millions, if not billions of dollars off of the NFL. Know what you're voting on. Make the game better. It baffles me how they had their meeting and did not vote to make the change. It baffles me.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall just to hear what the argument was for where it is. Maybe, you know what? Honestly, if we're talking owners, they're more worried about injuries than they are exciting returns. So kind of doesn't surprise me. If you really want to talk honestly,
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it.
I don't know. I think they think about making money, but if you want to make money, like make it exciting. If not, then just take the kickoff out. I mean, that's where I'm at here. It's lame.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, at that point, you get lucky every once in a while if the kicker screws up and muffs it out of bounds. But other than that, they're just kicking it into the end zone every time. It is just kind of a waste of time and energy. And honestly, some player spots in other positions that could make the offense and the defense, that part of the game, even better.
Yeah, I'd just like to see.
You'd still have to have him for field goals and whatnot, but
I'd just like to see those types of players get used more often and just have a different type of dynamic to the game. And kickoffs are exciting. I mean, like maybe it just goes back to me being, loving the like Dante Hall days, human joystick days,
Deion Sanders. I mean, hate him as a person, but man, that guy was electric on the football field.
What about the officiating? What'd you think of that?
Man. I think we're going to get a lot of flack because a lot of the calls went our way tonight. Most of them were good calls.
Yeah, most of them were. There was the one horse collar call.
That was
ticky
tacky.
It was a bad call. Yeah. It was for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it was in our favor.
Mean, he had hold of his jersey.
But I don't like that. I don't like bad officiating helping my team at all, and I don't like them hurting my team. I don't like that. I don't think taking an official, like taking them off the field so that cameras do everything, I don't think that's the answer. But I don't know, man. They missed that late hit out of bounds by the Ravens. I can't remember who it was, but on Mahomes, he was passed outside of the white line. He was so far out of bounds. I mean,
yeah,
it was blatantly.
That was the only time that I was really pissed at the refs, and I am sorry. Like, there is no excuse for it, and the Chiefs are a great team because, for instance, one of our Bills games, Josh Allen was going off like to the sideline, and he was going to run into the benches, the coolers, everything. He was gonna wipe out. What did the Chiefs do? 3 of them grabbed him, caught him, and put him back on the field. I mean, that's the type of team we are. Yeah. Like that's a beautiful thing.
It is.
That's something that we should be proud of. But yeah, that late hit pissed me off. I felt bad that we got the horse collar penalty, but it was already first down. It's not like we got a couple extra yards, but it's not like it was 3rd or 4th down and we got, a new set of downs. That wasn't it. And people will say stupid stuff like, oh, now Mahomes is the new Brady, and they'd say Brady got all the calls for him. Guys, I want to educate you on what Brady did because it was really smart. It looked like Brady got a lot of calls. What Brady did was smart enough to know the game, tell the refs, so the refs were always watching for the bullshit. That he would do his research prior to the game. He would let the refs know during warm-ups, and then he would point it out when it happens. That's not the refs giving you, giving you something because you're a star. That's the refs going, oh, good point. Thank you for telling me to watch that. And that's like, it's absurd to me when people talk about the refs and how they want one team or the other to win. And it just makes me go, You haven't been paying attention, have you?
Yeah, and the refs, I mean, they miss calls on both sides. They really do.
Because they're humans.
And I think the Chiefs, they are less penalized than a lot of other teams, but that's because they play a cleaner brand of ball.
Yes.
They really do.
Exactly.
And when they get the leads that they do sometimes, they're able to kind of lay off a little bit, and so they avoid some of the stupid penalties. I think that's a strategy.
Yeah,
and
we
I
definitely get penalized though. Like I think it was halftime. We were looking at it. It was like they were penalized like 60 yards, and we were 40 yards or something like that.
Yep.
But it's guys, the refs and the NFL. Yeah, they
it's
they
been
don't
rough
do that
for a long time.
It's human error in the age of 4K resolution is just much more apparent, guys.
Yeah, it's just more obvious.
Yeah,
it's honestly probably better than it was back in the day, honestly. But
oh god, yeah.
We just don't see it as much. It wouldn't hurt my feelings to put another ref out on the field, though, just to kind of see some of the missed. There's holding on every play.
I don't know, man. Having the refs on the field, maybe another sideline ref or two, like
I'm
fine with. But
I mean,
refs on the field oftentimes really mess up games.
Yeah, there was a video I saw on TikTok yesterday where it was a college game, but the guy threw the ball, it got tipped, and the ref didn't have any time to move, so it literally fell into his arms, and he caught the ball. The guy immediately, you can see on the video, his face just got beat red. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be on the sideline. That's fine, or maybe even one on either sideline.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, they're trying hard, but I mean,
but that missed late hit call, that's inexcusable.
Yeah,
I mean, anybody could see that.
Yeah, and I honestly, I'm sorry, there's a time frame that they have to throw that late hit call.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. We have plenty of commercials, guys. We have stoppage all the time. I want a lot more challenges. I want to be able to challenge every freaking call. And I'm sorry. Everybody says, "Oh, that'll make the game go
slow
longer."
It down so much.
Yeah. You guys do it.
Then you just take the refs out.
I wish the NFL would be like listening to this. That's when you take commercial. That's when you take commercial.
There will be a commercial after every play, though, Bob.
No, I mean, you still have to penalize them if they, if it's not overturned. You can't just let them challenge anything.
It sounded like you just said you want to replay every single play.
No.
Okay.
I want every single play to be challengeable. And I want that call, if that was challenged, there'd be no way that they couldn't say that was
So if it was challengeable, though, if every play was challengeable, is there a limit? Because then not every play is challengeable. If you can hit a limit, then not every play is challengeable.
Yeah, well, only an idiot head coach would hit that limit, in my hypothetical thought. Like you would have to. How about this? Okay, so
you don't think the Miami coach
how about
would,
this? How about
challenge
this?
15 times a game?
We changed challenges to lose 10 yards. Like it doesn't change your down. It doesn't change. Like if you lose 10 yards on the challenge, it's not like all of a sudden 2nd and 20 instead of 2nd and 10.
Make it a penalty,
but
a real penalty.
It's a penalty that moves you back on the field. Then coaches are only going to challenge exactly what they know. But there's so many things that are not challengeable, that are obvious on instant replay 2 seconds later. And the refs don't throw a flag at that point, and that sucks. Like, so I would love to have something where if you have two different, we keep the regular challenge the way it is, like, of what they could use. But at any time, you can throw the lose 10 yards challenge. And
that's interesting.
They have to go look at it, and they can look at it quick now up in the box.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we see 8 different replays within the first 30 seconds. If we can see it that fast, they can see it that fast for sure.
Yep.
There's
It
no
would
way
make
that
the
we
fans
have.
happier. It would make a lot of things better.
That's an interesting idea. I like that. You should submit that to the NFL. That's a good idea.
I mean, all of the owners watch this show, so
that's true.
They're going to
That's
know.
true.
This is what
You heard it here first, folks.
Because the podcast that I do, the developers of the game, like a good dozen of them, actually like watch and listen to my show, so I can actually give them feedback. But there's no way the Chiefs are ever going to like see this or hear this. Or even the Chiefs, the NFL definitely not, right? Like so,
not for a couple months at least.
But I mean, that would be something where you wouldn't throw that,
Yeah, no, you're right. 10 yards is a big deal. Yeah, and it might not even 5 yards might do it, but you really want to drive home the point.
And if people are going to abuse it, we can even double down and say, okay, it's a 10-yard penalty. So if you're first and 10. Then or if you're second and 10, then it is second and 20. Really make it, you don't ever throw that unless you are positive.
Yeah.
And then if the refs make the wrong call on replay, that's when we can really be mad.
But you can't challenge a non-penalty. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the problem.
You should be able to challenge.
But even if they challenge that.
We'll do that. If you challenge a non-penalty and say that it was a penalty and you lose 10 yards on, and the down, you
down
lose,
counts.
Yeah. So you go from 2nd and 8 to 2nd and 18.
3rd and 18.
Oh, you lose the
down too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. It really makes it so you do not just willy-nilly throw that. And then if the refs make the wrong call, then like if we were to do that on that call on Mahomes, if the refs make the wrong call there, then it's time to fire people, right? So that's I like what we've come up with here.
Are you talking about time to fire people as far as refs are concerned?
Yeah.
The only problem I see with that is I know that the process to become a ref in the NFL is not just like a 2-month seminar, right? There's a long time vetting that takes place, and to replace one, they're not like flies. They're not just everywhere, right?
Everybody's replaceable, Jason.
Yeah, they're replaceable, yeah. But we're talking about, from what I understand, most of the refs are lawyers and judges and people that have supposed to have high integrity in their full-time careers and whatnot, right? So they're just more trustable people. Are
you saying lawyers?
I'm just saying what I heard. I'm just telling you what I've heard. So, and that was a long time ago, so it may be different now. Maybe they've got some fishermen and some lumberjacks in there, but
I know exactly what you're saying.
They're just not easily findable.
What I'm saying is like maybe,
but there should be some kind of.
Maybe they pay their
penalty.
Refs really good, and then they fear losing their job for a wrong call.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. In the world I am thinking of, the refs are a really important part of the game. I don't know why we're on this ref talk though.
Well, because it affected the game, and it affects a lot of games, and I think it was a big issue, especially early in the preseason. I think the last game was okay, but it was the last game of the preseason, so whatever. And I think talking about the refs is relevant every game of every season. Honestly, there's always stuff, and that's the thing, right? So like you say that the refs, need to get punished because they need to ref better, but I don't think they're reffing less than the best that they have to offer. Like, I don't think they go out there and they're like, that could have been a penalty, but I don't feel like pulling the flag out of my pocket. You know what I mean?
Like the commercials.
Yeah. So I think they're doing the best of their ability. Maybe they don't have the best people out there, and maybe.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
Maybe it's an age thing too.
My change would allow for them to actually get the right call. It would allow the opportunity for it, and it would extremely penalize teams for doing it for stupid reasons. which would be great for some of the dumb coaches that we have in the league. You know, we could really capitalize on like making them lose.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It just, yeah, but they did pretty good though tonight for the most part. So
yeah, there's definitely they did enough to win the game, and there's plenty of room for improvement on a really good Chiefs team already. So nothing but positivity and optimism going into week 2 at least. So
another thing that I saw that I didn't like, should go on to things we liked, but I didn't like the fact that we did so much throwing when we were like right up on, you know, the red zone. I feel like we got a lot more weapons in the running backs. It goes back to me not using the running backs to their potential. I felt that we should have pressed the running game at the goal line a lot more, and we didn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I totally agree with you on that. I think our pass to run ratio tonight felt, I mean, I don't know the numbers. We haven't looked at stats, right? So I don't know. It just felt like it was our normal, you're going to get a 60-40, 70-30 split with this team. And we have the best quarterback potentially in the history of the NFL. Why wouldn't you want that? You want the ball in his hands, I think. Yeah,
I know. But the red zone, we'd run all the way up there, and then we wouldn't run in the red zone. And so I just don't get it. Let's air it out to get to the red zone, and then let's pound it in.
I don't care how we get to the red zone. If we can run it there, we pass it there.
Fair. I didn't like.
I think that the reason that we didn't see P. Ryan and Steele tonight had to do with the playbook and their newness in this system, and so we were going to get a lot of Pacheco. And since you didn't like how much Pacheco, it really would have been just more of Pacheco, which I think would have pissed you off. So I think it was just going to be impossible to please you tonight.
Maybe it was because I was playing against Pacheco in fantasy. Yeah. Yep,
you got to keep fantasy out of this podcast, man.
It's not it though, but that was a bummer. Oh man. Well, I mean, for the most part though, we do have to point out that all of the offensive stuff we're talking about, I mean, the Ravens have one of the best. I mean, they were arguably top 3 defense last year, along with the Chiefs.
And they're expected to be top 5.
Yeah, and they're
this season.
They're expected to be one of the best defenses this season. So pretty dang good. I mean, I'm nitpicking just because I'm trying to, we won the game.
Yeah.
We won the game.
Yep.
And
there's one stat that matters so far, and it's a 1.
And they were making that last drive, and my wife and Buck here were, like, do you think they'd go for 2? And I'm like, they will for sure go for 2. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, they're not going to trust Mahomes in overtime. There's no way. Like, they're going to go for 2 regardless. They're not going to trust, they're even going to go for 2 if there's 30 seconds left, because they're not going to trust that Mahomes can't score in 30 seconds because he's done it before.
Yep.
And so, yeah. And then when they thought they got the touchdown at the end of the game, they were already lining up to go for 2.
Yeah, Harbaugh. They showed Harbaugh going. Yeah,
I was
holding up the 2
totally
fingers.
right, but they didn't get the touchdown. Oh my gosh, we were so excited when we saw that toe hit that white line. We were like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, and they had all the good angles too. It always seems like they never have the right angle, and you're like, no, his toe was out. Well, not 100%. They had like 13 angles that showed he was definitely out.
Yep. Yeah. I kind of felt bad for, what was his name, Skitters, because he had just got like injured on the last play. He was hurting when he made that catch, but you just got to touch them toes, bro. Got to touch them toes.
Yep. Yeah, likely.
Likely. That's it.
Likely.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Skinley or something.
Skinley.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, so
but I was impressed with his play tonight. He was solid for the Ravens. So I think last year they were known for Zay Flowers and only Zay Flowers. So they got a couple weapons. Speaking of weapons that the Ravens got, Derrick Henry. I think it became obvious to me throughout the first half. I don't think the Ravens expect Derrick Henry to be the old Derrick Henry. I don't think they do. I think the fans expect that. But I think what the Ravens expect from Derrick Henry is to beat the shit out of some defenses in the first half so that they've got the juice in the second half against a defense that's all beat up. I think that's what he's there for. And then if he punches it in the end zone once or twice a game, that's even a bonus. But I don't think that's what he's there for at all.
Yeah, I don't think Derrick Henry is the running back that he was a few years ago. Last year, he did not have performance up to snuff with what he did before. But I mean, what he did before was beast mode, like game changer. You have to, make sure you stop him. And now he's just a good running back. I think
he's still good.
Yeah, I think he's just a good. But he's just not superstar.
He's not his old. Yeah, he's not at the peak of his career. If you notice, he had to get helped up after every tackle. He's not popping up on his own anymore.
Yep. So, I think the Ravens are going to be fine with him. He's going to help, and I think that you're probably right. Like,
I think we'll see them in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I think the Ravens are a great team unless they let this hurt them.
Yeah,
but we don't care about the Ravens. We care about the Chiefs.
Yep, we do.
And the Chiefs, for all my bitching, I'm just looking at ways that we can get better. But I mean, all in all, man, I'm happy. The Chiefs looked good. And Hollywood Brown coming back too.
Yeah,
I mean, shit.
Yep.
And just like we've seen how the games get better and better, and this was one of the best defenses probably in the NFL. I mean, we're looking solid.
We're looking real promising. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, do we play the Lions this year? Because I'm feeling like we could really put a hurting on them after,
I don't think
them beating us last year.
I don't think they want any piece of the Chiefs this year.
I don't think so either.
No, that would be embarrassing.
I think we play every 4 years, don't we? We play the other divisions.
No, but B needs to learn the playbook, though. I agree.
Well, and it was just good to, first game of the season. Last year, like we lost to the Lions, we shouldn't have. Like we were definitely the better team by far. And this year, I feel like the Ravens possibly might be the better team, but we triumphed and won. Like they're definitely on our level, whereas the Lions were down here and they beat us. So, yeah. It's good to win that first game, get the momentum going, and feeling good.
Get some of the kinks out.
Yep.
I think we'll look better against the Bengals. Anything you're looking forward to in that game?
Oh God, man. Let's save that for our next episode.
All right.
Because, I do have Jamari Chase on my
That's not going to change what we talk about.
I know, I'm kidding. I'm looking forward to putting Joe Cool in the freezer.
Yeah. I think if Joe Cool was on the field with that team tonight, it would have been a much different score. I think most quarterbacks would have been hurting tonight. So,
yeah, I think if Lamar couldn't run it,
oh yeah,
we definitely saw that we have a weakness to running quarterbacks, but
we have a weak. So that's Lamar.
I don't know that there's any other quarterback that is a running quarterback that could also throw like Lamar. So I'm not scared.
No, I don't think there's another quarterback that can do what he does.
Yep. What else you got to hear to end it out?
Who's your player of the game then?
My player of the game, shit, Worthy.
Yeah. I don't think we can give it to Mahomes tonight. He only had one touchdown, so yeah, Worthy definitely showed up.
Worthy on the offense, Jones on the defense.
Yeah,
Jones was the only one that I saw consistently getting in there and causing
McDuffie.
Yep,
played.
McDuffie looked good.
Played his balls off tonight. Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, Worthy, just his you know, he didn't have a ton. He had that one catch for a TD and that one run for a TD, but the one catch that was not a TD in the end zone, him knocking that down like a defensive back. I mean, I think that makes him player of the game.
Do you know what he didn't do?
What?
He didn't tip the ball up for a pick six. And that's why he's on this team.
Thank goodness. All right. Well, yeah, I think that does it.
That covers us for tonight.
All of my notes. I mean, if you have anything else.
No, I think we covered everything I wanted to talk about.
All right. Well, don't forget to follow us on social media and all the places. It's Buck and Bob at everything, X, Twitter, Instagram, everything. I mean, we don't have anything up on Instagram yet, but we're not sure what to put on Instagram. So you tell us what we should put on Instagram.
Spotify.
Yeah, but it's BUKNBOB is where you can find us. Buck and Bob take on Chiefs Kingdom. Buck, where can we find you?
Always on Facebook, and you can find me on Twitter. It's at Bucktastic, BUK_TASTIK. What about you, Bob?
You can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. And yeah, you can find me kind of all over the place if you just search Blazin' Bob. I've got a lot of stuff out there, a lot of different podcasts. So if you like my bad takes, check it out. We'll see you next time, guys.
Go Chiefs.
Chiefs.